People are always talking about Ruth and Boaz. I want a Ruth woman. I want a Boaz man. But people often have the tendency to forget Naomi.
And I don't know why.
I don't know why we forget
Naomi. Because Ruth wouldn't have been in position to be discovered by Boaz if she didn't have Naomi in her ear.
That's right.
Lord, I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's first explain. We know Naomi's husband died, Ruth's husband died, Orpah's husband died, and Naomi was the elder, and she was like, listen, y'all leave, there are no men around.
Right.
And it was like, no, we don't want to leave you, we're gonna stay. And she was like, listen, there are no men around. Even if there was a man around and I were to get pregnant tonight and have 2 sons, would you wait for me to raise them?
Right.
And Orpah was like, you're right. But Ruth was like, I'm going to cling on to you.
Yeah.
Your people become my people.
Right.
And your God, my God. And it's worthy of preaching potential, because if we can make Christ attractive, people will be willing to leave what they thought was their God to come accept the true and living God.
So Naomi and Ruth head back to Bethlehem.
Please don't miss this. Naomi told Ruth to go in the field, and Boaz discovered her.
Yeah.
One more again. Naomi told Ruth to go and Boaz discovered her. This is the unspoken, overlooked area of the Ruth and Boaz story. Nobody's talking about Naomi. Naomi was critical and fundamental in getting Ruth in position and getting her aligned in the field. So here's a quintessential question. Do you have a Naomi in your life? Because wrong people always give wrong directions, which always lead to wrong destinations.
And please get this.
Please.
It's dangerous to receive advice from people who are not being advised.
If the Lord isn't your advisor, please limit what you have to say to me. I'm not saying that I only have to learn from believers. I think we could get wisdom from anybody.
Oh, yeah.
But when it comes to who I'm choosing to do life with,
oh yes.
When it comes to who I'm marrying and who I'm going to live with forever, and who I'm in a relational context
Who
with,
you're in covenant with,
and who I'm having children by,
come on.
Listen, I need to be advised by the Lord. And if he's not your advisor, I don't want to be hooked up with a spirit. I want to be led by the Spirit.
Come on,
so we're going to have to make sure, guys, please, this is critical, that we're not getting advice from people who are not being advised. And so I think really what we have to evaluate and ask ourselves is, if everybody wants to be Ruth, who's going to be Naomi? Like mothers should be Naomi. Grandmothers, aunts, sisters, first ladies should be Naomi. But if everybody's trying to be Ruth, nobody can be Naomi. But if nobody's Naomi, then we won't have any Ruth. Maybe this is the problem with the culture. Maybe this is the problem with the community. There are no Naomis that are producing Ruth. Right? We need Naomi women to produce Ruth women, which will align them to encounter Boaz men. Okay? Not bozo men, but Boaz men. If Ruth didn't have a Naomi, if Timothy didn't have a Paul, if Peter didn't have a Jesus, if Elisha didn't have an Elijah, if Joshua didn't have a Moses, they wouldn't have the wisdom in their ear, which would bleed over into their heart, which would help them make critical and positive decisions in the future. Whoever is in your ear has the steering wheel to your life. Please. Whoever is in your ear has a steering wheel to your life. This is why some of us need to get off the phone and stop texting some people. Okay? Because there's a difference in a serpent in your ear and a Naomi in your ear.
And this is what gets me. Boaz saw Ruth working and was like, who is that? And nobody was like, man, don't even worry about that. That's Ruth, the Moabitess.
Why he gotta throw out that she's a Moabitess?
I mean,
see, this is the beauty of, if you know the history, the Moabites, if we know, it means incest of my father. It's when Lot's daughters got their father drunk, okay, and they had sex with him, and they had a son, and they named him Moab. Thus, we have the Moabitess. So in essence, he was like, bruh, that's a Moabitess. You Boaz from Bethlehem, bro, leave that chick alone. This is the beauty. And this is what gives me confidence. Boaz is referred to as our kinsman redeemer. A picturesque portrait of Jesus. And Jesus is just like Boaz. He sees us and he doesn't let our Moabite ways, he doesn't let our Moabite past stop him from being interested in us. And so then he walked up to Ruth and was like, listen, don't go on nobody else's field. If you get thirsty, I got drink. You stay right here. If you need anything, stay right here. And this is the beauty of our Savior, is he doesn't counsel our past before he dictates what he's going to do in our future. So Boaz was able to see beyond her scrap. She wasn't even looking good yet. She was out there gleaning. She was in the field. But then Naomi told her, listen, freshen yourself up. Put this nice stuff on and you go to his feet at night. Naomi was fundamental. and making sure that Ruth got in position to be discovered by Boaz.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Who is your Naomi?
Ruth had a Naomi. Eve had a serpent. Naomi being in Ruth's ear got her positioned in the vineyard. The serpent being in Eve's ear got her kicked out of the garden.
We summarize this webisode with this statement. You going to the next level lays heavily on two things: your obedience and who is in your ear.
Yes.
Because it's hard to have a clean life with a bad circle. So we just wanted to talk about that for a brief moment, because I understand that Ruth and Boaz is great and everybody wants that relational context.
Right.
But at the end of the day, my father was my Paul. My father was my Moses. Her mother was her Naomi. And so we have to have somebody in our ear, somebody that's being advised by our advisor, that could position us and align us with being discovered by our purpose. So feast on that. Who's in your ear? This is Redefined TV.
Well, we're redefining relationships righteously.
Righteously.